What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Valdeezy back at it again with another one. Just want to say appreciate each and every one of you guys showing up here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just get this thing started, and then we just go from there. Once again, thanks for showing up and supporting your boy Valdeezy, and hopefully we can get some dialogue going in.
React. He stood motionless, staring forward the entire time. They polled the jurors to make sure that what everybody was saying was in fact guilty. They went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 12. Every single person said guilty. Tory was taken into custody, remanded into custody. No bond at this time. Sentencing is set for January 27th. At the end of the proceeding, his father stood up, had an outburst in court. The sheriffs had to remove him. He eventually left on his own volition. He was not arrested. Another gentleman took out his phone, recorded the outburst. That gentleman is currently in front of the judge right now. The judge is, I guess, going to charge him perhaps with violating the rules of the court. Guilty on all 3 counts. Tory Lanez will be sentenced on January 27th. He has been remanded and taken into custody by the Los Angeles sheriff. Verdict is in, guilty on all. If you watch that trial, you can talk to me about that trial. Certainly, if you're a defense attorney, I can talk to you about that trial. I'll tell you this about that trial. When I heard Kelly's testimony from the defense attorney about the fight between 2 women that went on for several minutes, that the big guy had to break up, that the one woman went back to the car, that he saw a flash, he saw what looked like the woman shooting into the car, fireworks into the car. When I heard all that, to me, reasonable doubt was there. That was the pivotal, seminal moment in the courtroom. Then the prosecutor went out there, and the prosecutors and got him to say, or I don't know if the prosecutor said it, but it was the little man shot 4 or 5 times, and he was shooting with his arms outstretched like this. And everybody's kind of like, wait, what? And you couldn't put the two together. And in my head, I can really put it together, and it was so the defense attorney sort of put it together, but the way it came out to the jury, the way it came out on the transcript, I don't think the jury is able to rectify or see a sequence of events where the shooting starts with the woman and puts something other than an intent on the part of the man to take out and shoot against a woman. And I think that's what this trial came down to. Prayers to Tory's family. I saw reasonable doubt in that trial. The jury, did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? They reached a verdict, and that's what verdicts are. It's really not about right or wrong.
So, thanks guys for tuning in. Want to shout out to that is Lawyer for Workers, one of the attorneys who was following this case and involved. Real dope. Have YouTube channel, Instagram, and stuff like that. I posted his channel in the description, so please feel free. Find that, follow him. Really dope attorney. I'm no attorney, so no expert on this subject matter or anything like that. I'm probably just going to look at the facts as far as what was stated, give my opinion, and would definitely love to hear you guys' opinion for that matters. Real quick, just want to read from what New York posted. Lanez 30 was convicted of 3 felony counts. Assault with a semi-automatic handgun, carrying a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, discharging a firearm with gross negligence. He faces more than 20 years in prison and could be deported. Jurors reached a verdict about 7 hours of deliberation across 2 days following a trial that lasted nearly 2 weeks. Mr. Lanez, who had been free on bail during the holiday trial period on house arrest, was immediately taken into custody. Sentencing was scheduled for January 27th of 2023, because 2022 about to be over. Happy holidays, by the way. Meg Thee Stallion was not present in court. As the verdict was read, Mr. Lanez appeared motionless and startled straight ahead until his father stood up and began shouting at the judge and the prosecutors. God will judge you, he said, as he baffles moved to block his path. Feel free to go ahead and read the rest of that. Definitely, if that was your kid, regardless of guilty or not guilty, right? That's pretty devastating to hear. After seeing all of that, I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on the whole situation on watching it, because I've been following it from time to time, and then also been following a couple attorneys and stuff who also follows the case and report. And just want to go out over a couple things. One of the things that the attorney was just talking about, because I'm no expert, right, was a reasonable doubt. And then I'm going to go over the definition of what is reasonable doubt. So reasonable doubt is legal terminology referring to insufficient evidence that prevents a judge or jury from convicting the defendant of a crime. So one of the things I found interesting with this case, and I don't necessarily want to try to pick sides and stuff since I wasn't the jurors, but the gunshot residue, what we did here was found on Tory and on old girl, I think her name was Kelsey, but no DNA of Tory's was found on the handgun. I also found out that the handgun was unregistered, which is never good for any parties involved, right? Unregistered weapon, but also the weapon was olive green, which is usually, no offense, but a cute color. Let's call it what it is. It's a cute handgun for the most part. So that's just a couple things that seems a little bit funny, iffy, or whatnot. The other weird thing that was kind of going on with this case is with Kelsey, she was granted immunity. So pretty much what immunity means, if you don't know what that means, is regardless of what I say and testify, you can't come back and then sue me or hold me accountable for any of that. Let's say, for instance, and then once again, I don't know, but let's say if it was Kelsey, she was the reason why Megan got hit with the shards, or say she shot the gun, or whatever the case may be. Even if she did, now she is protected by this law that you can't touch her. She becomes untouchable, right? Another red flag that kind of stood up with the case is that at one point when she talked, she had a story and then via text messages, and then afterwards, further along the case, the story changed. So I say all of this, going back to the definition of reasonable doubt, it's hard to watch, I would say, a fair trial, like regardless of who's right or wrong, because yes, we do want to acknowledge Megan, she was hurt regardless of by who, but it's hard to convict somebody, in my opinion, 100% saying that person did do it if all the evidence don't point towards that. That's just my thoughts on that part. So the case just seemed to have a lot of loopholes, just looking at the facts. He was charged with 3 counts. And with those 3 counts, that gave him up to 20 years. So how you want to look at that is not necessarily it was like 20 years total, but for each count that the jury had to decide on, he may get 7 here, he may get 5 here for the other count, he may get whatever the rest of the number is, because mathing is hard for me. No, I'm playing. But anyway, yeah. So that's how they came up with the number up to 20 years. Another thing is, I'm looking at it this way, right? You got this jury that's in court, you got the holidays, Christmas and stuff like that, and they were given the option to go ahead and make that decision Friday, which it was released, right, the verdict, or pass this off, kind of enjoy the holidays, come back Tuesday, and then regroup. You probably have a group of people who kind of just tired of hearing this back and forth, along with Megan, Tory, and all the drama, because the case was a complete mess. Like, I don't even understand how they even came to any conclusion, because the facts was kind of like it's kind of everywhere, right? But you had these people who I'm sure was tired and wanted to go with their family, so everybody just said, hey, we just gonna come to this conclusion based off of what the courts gave us, based off of what questions they may have asked, right? And then on those counts, that's not to say, of course, what we all know, he didn't go and murder anybody or anything like that. But one of the counts or questions that could have been asked to the jury is, was Megan in fear of the situation she was in, and then was it Tory's fault for putting her in that situation? As a jury, I'm pretty sure the answer was yes, and that could have been one of the counts that they trying to, or that he will be serving for it within that 20-year sentence. Right. Um, another one, another one would be. Sorry about that. Having a little technical difficulties, but we back on track. So yeah, so that'll be one of the counts, or one of the counts that I believe he was tried for was the fear factor part, right? And I hate to say it, but that's kind of hard to prove against because being that, especially since there's a gun involved, of course, anybody would be in fear, right? I know I would, regardless of how dangerous I may believe I am. Anyway, moving forward, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this subject matter, how you thought the case went, what you think was missing and stuff. I'm welcome to all opinions, people on both sides, middle, Megan's side, Tori's side, whatever side you think. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the link. Please, please, please make sure you do have your camera if you do like to come up and speak, because I'm only want to allow people with cameras, and then want to, of course, vet you guys. Just want to hear your thoughts on that, as well as I know everybody and their mama's talking about this, so I want to dig in a little bit deeper, and then later on, kind of ask the audience, what's your thoughts on this, and then how can you prevent this type of situation, right? Like, what would you do to prevent this? All right.
Yo,
So welcome to the stage, He, aka Shahid.
what's going on, bro? Everything good?
Everything's great, man. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, hanging in there. I caught the middle of everything that you were saying about the counts that he's being faced with. Um, so this is my thing, right? Like I thought it was a red flag when Kelsey went up there and he granted her immunity. So that right there was a red flag to me. I'm like, yo, so that means she had to change her testimony at some point, or more to the story happened than what we are led to believe. So I personally it's just sketchy to me, the whole thing.
But yeah, I'm no lawyer, no attorney or anything like that. But I hate to say it, I kind of agree with that part. With you having one story and then at the end changing it up, and then that's not to say if one or the other side threatened her to make her
Right.
change the story or
Right.
whatever. But no, I definitely agree. Looks like I got another person who's tuning in to Rome. I'm going ahead and add him as well. Welcome to the live feed, Rome. Whenever you feel like speaking, just unmute yourself. If you got any questions for me,
What's going on, Rome? What's the word?
if you just unmute yourself, Rome, you'll
Yo,
be
can
able
y'all hear
to.
me?
You feel like
Yeah.
speaking, just unmute yourself. We can now.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all hear me okay? I'm just
Yes,
making sure.
sir.
I probably got a
Yep.
delay.
What's going on, Rome?
What up, man? What y'all boys doing? Y'all talking about
Unmute yourself, Rome.
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We can now. Hey, so Rum, I'm gonna mute you real quick just in case if you do got another video plan like YouTube or anything, when you do join the session, you might have to kill that. And I do want to apologize to my audience. It might be probably like a 5 to 10 second delay from if you're watching from YouTube onto StreamYard.
this thing real quick? Can y'all hear me okay? I can't hear nobody on y'all. I can't hear nobody
Yeah,
on y'all.
I can hear you.
Might be probably like a 5 to 10 second delay from if you're watching from YouTube onto StreamYard.
Yeah, I think Rome, you got to kill the YouTube.
Can y'all hear me okay? I can't hear.
Yeah. So I'm gonna mute you again. Just go ahead, kill the YouTube session, and then when you join StreamYard, you'll be able to hear everything.
If y'all can hear this okay, I'm gonna probably rejoin afterwards. So it's like this, for me. I mean, I agree with you, Heat. to a certain degree, 100%, man. The first red flag, you're a witness. For me, I'm looking at the situation very clearly as why would a witness need immunity? So, I mean, I'm looking at the whole things that we it's just funny to me, man, how we have to weed everything else out. We have to forget that the witness, I would say Sean, I think that's his name or whatever, for him to literally say, yo, you saw a physical altercation between two women. I'm looking at the situation. If I'm if there's a gun discharged in any way, if I had to weigh the two, if Tory Lanez shot because of an insult versus someone who's in an actual physical altercation with someone, I would pretty much put my money on the physical altercation. It just doesn't make sense. It's funny to me how we tend to abandon common sense for whatever narrative, is being painted here. I mean, we ain't got to be dumb, man. It's very simple, yo. If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You know what I'm saying? So it's very clear. But at the same time, whatever narrative we want to push, I would say the sisterhood out there, whatever Meg the Stallion and whatever narrative that we've decided to push to believe all women all of a sudden. I don't know where that shit came from. Excuse my language if I can cuss or not. But yeah, I just don't know where that came from. No one is 100% believable. We all have accountability in the things that we choose to do. We all make decisions and we pay for them. Even Tory Lanez, if you're trying to fuck on Kylie, if you're trying to mess with whoever, and then you got two women you smashing right in front of you. If you know the nature of women, that's going to be a very messy situation, especially, just in my opinion, just the simple fact that, you pretty much touching outside another race.
Yeah. Hey,
So
I want to
you looking
stop you
outside
right
another
there.
race. I don't know no black woman that's going to pretty much say too kindly on that.
Yeah, I
You
want to stop
already
you
shot
right
yourself in the
there.
foot there.
You said,
Women are in competition with each other, and whether you understand that or not, you you get caught up in some bullshit. That's why I think it's actually important for us to have that decontrol, from time to time, because you end up in a situation to where your life on the line. My life is on the line just basically because I like you. I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what you're going to do. But if we're in an era where we just believe in whatever the hell goes on, me and out here at this point now starting to look at a situation to where now I have to basically pull out the survival tactics. The same thing that I basically have to pull out, just basically going out into the world every day. But I can't make you understand that. But yeah, man, that's all my point is on that. I just look at the situation. It ain't even something really that most people really even need to talk about. I look at all the different channels. Everybody pretty much give a lot of good information. One of my favorites is AntonDaniels.com. But man, I'm just looking at the situation. It's very, very clear. We don't need to even explain it. We know. I honestly think 100% there's a war on black men. We can paint it as whatever picture you want. You can even call it a different name if you like. But we know what's happening. We losing our lives out here over this type of shit.
I agree with
because
you.
I like you or because I want to fuck with you, I lose my life. That's what's on the line.
So
Hey, you have a decision that you can make as all you got. The decision you got to make is if you want to lie on me or not. So and all I'm trying to.
Real quick, Rome. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm gonna pause you real quick. Pete, can you hear me?
I just look at it. It's all good. Man.
I hear you.
I look at it very clearly. It's all good. So, like I said,
he might be delayed a little bit.
Yeah,
a lot of people just to pretty much protect themselves, and yeah, man, you just got to be careful out here because it ain't safe.
Appreciate your intake on that, Rome. And then once again, I want to shout out the Intentional Millionaire. Salute to my boy. He has a dope YouTube channel going over pretty much how to become a millionaire, right? And then it makes sense, right, to take it from somebody who has become that, right? Don't take it from me because I'm not a millionaire. Yes, I can find great advice, great strategies, books, recommendations, and stuff like that. But ideally, I would say listen to somebody who's done it, and he's done it. Also want to shout out N. Allen, 007 RX, also YouTube channel and a part of the Masterminds. Appreciate you guys following up, checking out with your boy Valdez. For feel free if you do want to come up and discuss about the case. I know this is a very touchy topic, so I know emotions can kind of go all over the place. However, I will do my best to control that emotions because I want to just more so speak on the facts. Rome, it was one thing you did say that I did want to talk about because I like to believe I'm big on accountability and stuff like that. And one part you did bring up was he was evolving himself around a couple girls, which just looking at the case, and then you already know at one point Megan was involved with Tory, and then you had Tory probably having other chicks around and whatnot. And it sounds like some type of jealousy fight situation that kind of transitioned and happened. And I bring all that up to say, how do y'all think as men we should go about avoiding those type of situations and not putting ourselves in that type of situation?
I would say just be honest and be upfront. You know, let whatever girl you're dealing with, let her know what your situation is, let her know what your lifestyle is. And that if you're going to be non-monogamous, just like, hey, look, this is how I live my lifestyle. And the new girl that you got around her, you bring her around, let her know what it is. This is how I live my life. And you just kind of like incorporate all of them into that. And if they decide, if they decide to become a part of that, then it is what it is.
Facts. So you're pretty much saying that, long story short, any event, if he was clear as far as what their relationship was about, then a lot of this could have been avoided.
See, I wish I knew the exact details of their relationship. Then I would be able to speak on how their whole thing worked out. But since I don't know what they did, I really can't speak on it. But as far as in general, to avoid that, if you're a guy, just be honest. You know, ain't no point of, risking your life lying to these women about, you telling them you want to be with them alone, and then you behind their back dealing with somebody else, and then then you caught yourself in a conundrum. So just keep it real. I mean, we why would you lie to a girl about what you want? Like, yo, this your life. Give her the option.
That's right. No, I agree with you 100%. Why lie? Keep it 100. Speak your truth. Tell people up front, right? That's the best forms of communication, right? And then you would avoid situations like this. I hate to say it. Don't want to pick sides. Not a fan of how the verdict was given because I don't think he was 100% at fault. I say 100% because once again, we can't put ourselves in these situations and then try to take ourselves out of a whole accountability. And somebody was hurt, but I don't think the whole truth was out there with the case and in the way it was done. And then I would love to see the exact questions that was posed to the jury that kind of came to their sentences, right? To the sentence on the 3 counts. I think they were probably built a certain way to the jury was like, yes, true. And then it made sense to them, like, yes, guilty, based off of what you delivered to us, if that makes sense. And in a sense, I know me personally, I don't have an insight to what they was asked to pick from and say you're guilty. I can't really definitively give 100% like, hey. But no, other than that, the trial was rough. It definitely has some holes in it. Not a fan.
I agree.
So, and Alan posed a question, and I'm going to definitely read this. What she want to know is, are men and women going to be that transparent about their positions?
In general, I would say no, because, in general, a lot of guys they don't really get access to sex like that. So they're going to tell the woman whatever it is. If you a type of guy that you got your stuff together and, you're working to become the best version of yourself, I think you should just be honest. And I think men in general should be honest about their intentions along with women. Because, you got women out there that just want to hook up too. This is a different generation that we're in. So I think whatever situation you're going into, just let get on the first date. Let's say you get the girl number, and then like y'all start texting or FaceTime. You like, what phase are you in your life? What is it that you're looking for? What your expectations are, and you see where she at, and then you make a decision based on that. If that's something you want to invest in long term, or if it's something you want to invest in short term, and then you just make a decision from there. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, definitely respect that. I want to say from what I see, I love transparency, whatever. But I also seen like a lot of guys, or I won't say a lot of guys, but I would say, I wouldn't even say, I hate to use this word, but simps or whatever your case you may
Nah,
say.
use the word. Use it.
They let's call it like it is. They say whatever they want to kind of get what they want, if that makes sense. And it's usually not their truth. And then let's do it on a flip side, like right. Let's say women, for instance. I think in the beginning, some, not all, but some show their best versions of themselves, right? And we're never talking to a dude. Let's talk about like for like Megan and Tory. I can tell for a fact, even just watching their relationships and stuff, they had a really close relationship. And then whatever that transpired, they kind of end up falling off or whatever. I think this could have been avoided if, like in Allen 007 said earlier, if it was transparency as far as what I do, what I like to do, and then what you feel is disrespectful, a lot of this could have been avoided, right? Mm-hmm. So the intentional millionaire asks, and then let's make sure. So what intentional millionaire said to analysis is even if you do, we have to think about their perspective change because they have feelings.
I do agree with that. I can agree with that for sure. This is my thing. I think jealousy is normal. I think jealousy is a natural human feeling or emotion that everybody's going to experience that. It's just a natural energy. But when it gets to the point to where it starts affecting your daily life and your mood, I think that's a sign to reevaluate the situation. Like, you know what, maybe this may not be a situation that I want to be a part of anymore. So maybe I need to step away from the situation because now I'm thinking about doing something violent.
Well, I want to make sure I heard you right towards the
end. Sometimes as you see how the whole thing transpired, it became violent, and I'm pretty sure that both of them, well, Tory was probably involved with both of them sexually. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. I don't think nobody clarified that they were all sexual, but it seems like what transpired that it had to be some type of physical interaction between all three of them, and it wasn't no transparency.
That's facts. That's facts. So I see some more people in the lobby. Appreciate you. I'm gonna invite some more people over up if you can. Just stay there. Coin, welcome to the stream. Thank you. Real quick, just to see if you was following along. Right now, we're just talking about Tory Lanez guilty. Was the jury right or wrong? Regardless of what side you're on, I want to hear your opinion on this. Once again, I'm open to all opinions, whether you for Megan, you thinking she was 100% right, or Tory, or neither. Like, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any immediate thoughts on it, to be honest. And that because how can I say this? I don't have enough information on the case, or I haven't followed it enough. I've seen little snippets here and there through like Google and Insta, but not enough to really like be dangerous with it. So I don't know. I'm a little careful, man. In regards to giving my opinion quite yet. I'll feel comfortable if I go back and do a little bit more due diligence because it's kind of like that Young Thug thing that's going on with Gunna, and it was a bunch of stuff that came out about him snitching, and now apparently he didn't snitch. His brother's taking a plea deal. There's some more stuff coming out and things like that. So, yeah, man, I my personality is not going to allow me to make a judgment without all the facts. But just looking from the outside, looking in, if I had to, man, I definitely think that it probably wasn't the most popular judgment. I think everybody would have probably been okay with Tory being like freed or whatever when it comes to the conviction of another black man.
Like it's just a more of the same story. But oh, man, I also would probably say that when you get the courts involved, and when you do things that forces the courts to get involved, like you're giving somebody else power to make decisions over that. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of indifferent with the case right now, man, to be honest. So because if he shot her, like if it did come down to where it was him, then what? Like
Yeah.
now, I do think the sentencing was a little harsh, from what I'm hearing. I think it's plus 20 years or
Yeah.
something like
So
that, up to 20
up to
years for. Mhm.
up to 20 years, and then they said it's based off of 3 counts. So it seems like it's up to 20 years for the whole case, but the way they broke it down was for each count, um, he's getting those years supply or whatever. Now, of course, he's going to appeal after this is all said and done. And I understand exactly where you're coming from, Coin, and agree to a certain extent. A reason why I say to a certain extent is what I do know is from watching the trial and in the attorneys, the professionals who speak on this, because I'm no professional.
Mm.
But when I hear several professionals says it just doesn't add up, and then I don't see how you could come to a conclusion where it's 100% guilty, that's where I'm on the side. It's not even me jumping on the side of like Tory Lanez is 100% innocent. No, it's just more so if we here in America, and then we go by laws and then rules, right? And then we say A, B, and C, and if you do A, B, and C, then you are innocent or guilty. Then that should be followed. The moment when that's not followed, that's kind of when all hell breaks loose, regardless of if it's a guy, girl, alien, or whatever the case may be. But love your points, Coin. I think
Yeah.
it's a safe and smart route, especially since it's probably going to be more to tell.
Yeah. I don't think it's over yet. I think they're going to appeal that, and I think we'll see a different verdict later on. I don't think this is like he's too mainstream now, both of them, to let something like this but I think overall the charges are definitely kind of egregious in an amount of time. And if you went back and kind of measured a sample size of people in a similar situation, because I don't know if this was class under attempted murder or was it just assault
Well,
because of their popularity.
Yeah, it wasn't under attempted murder or even under assault, and I think that's why they was able to get him on 3 counts. It's stuff that I don't have information to. However, based off of how they voted, they had to word it a certain way for it to make sense for them to say 100% guilty, 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 if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's called a ding, ding, ding. I'm sorry. All I hear you say as you list that shit, ding, 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 ding. Like
So,
I just hear lawyers and judges saying, okay. Like I don't hear shit else besides that.
Bro, I'm concerned, bro. I'm concerned like how I'd really want to know how come it wasn't like a hung jury, like half and half, like maybe half say not guilty and the other half say he was guilty. But they got 100%. I don't know, man.
Y'all know the answer to that. Y'all know the answer to that already. I mean, like I said, it was earlier. It's one of them things that you clearly understand, but you can't talk about. Like you can't say nothing about it. Like you literally watching, a full-blown assault. What makes sense about this? Like if you really think about it, what actually makes sense about this? Nothing. Like this is a typical everyday experience that y'all probably experienced this at some point in your life, where there's a altercation, things get heated, and all of a sudden there's 80 different stories. But if there's a popular opinion, if there's an agenda, if there's an entity in there that just has a little bit more leverage than you, then that's the narrative. That's, to me, I think that's one of the narratives of like human nature. We always going off of who we basically exalt. We got a lot of celebrities. You got a lot of people looking at celebrities today. So if a celebrity says something, boom, it's just fact. It's now this way. But if there's a narrative out there, if there's a voice that says, yo, the black woman doesn't have a voice or black women are protected, dude, That's what's out here. You that Tory Lanez was shocked.
Yeah, he was in complete shock. And then I want to say from the intentional millionaire, he says, "Man or woman, we have to value ourselves enough to walk away and stop hitting it, hanging it out, and talking." So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
agree with that statement. I think we kind of in the era of what money talks, and then more so of people overvaluing money versus actually digging into finding out who the person really is. And once again, I think I said this earlier. I think if both parties, Tory Lanez and Megan, like he said earlier, was true about what they like, what they don't, what they accept as disrespect or not, I think a lot of this could have been avoided, and we could truly see two artists get the fame that's deserved based off of their talents, right? Whereas now, with this verdict, for sure, Tory Lanez, he's gonna have to do time.
Yeah.
And then I didn't notice, but he's not even from here.
No, he's
He's
from Canada.
Yeah, in Canada.
so he's gonna get deported as well. You have to do time, and yes, in the court of law, this is truth. But also, I kind of feel like, especially since we're not here, and or not even feel like, but looking at because forget feelings, feelings are overrated. But looking at the facts of what was presented, the truth probably would never come out as far as what exactly happened, right?
Yeah.
Unless you had like a film, video camera, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to discount Megan because she was hurt in that situation. So
For sure.
I
Somebody shot
personally
her.
think whoever
Somebody
did
shot her.
that should be punished, right? That's facts. That's facts.
Yeah.
So no shots her way. It's more so shots at the system. Like, I'm more so like, fuck the system, because I don't think it was fair. I don't think it was a lot of truth based off of facts and so forth. And then that's not even to say I would be lying if I said he wasn't. I would be lying if I said he wasn't innocent. I know he had some parts to play as far as just the situation being in there. It could have been avoided.
Yeah.
You know, I would have loved to have been in there. I would have loved to have been in that trial just so I can see, you know, what was actually being said, the evidence that was presented, because we all know it's two different worlds. What's happening in trial, you have to abide by the facts compared to what's happening on social media, and that's what he say, she say. All that stuff is irrelevant. I would have loved to see what they were talking about in court to prove that he was guilty without a shadow of a doubt.
Can I ask a question though? Just a real question, like straight up. So I'm actually wondering, because I watch a lot of people look the other way. Now we might look our everyday lives. If you have somebody blatantly lie in your face, right? How you might make a decision right there. Let's say, for example, if it's a spouse or somebody you messing with versus somebody that has a lesser status in your life, and they lie blatantly in your face. How good is it for us to turn the other way? I want to play devil's advocate just a little bit. We have sympathy. We have empathy for Meg the Stallion getting shot in that situation. But at the word that I see thrown around the internet so much right now, accountability. I'm an adult. You make a decision. You know something comes from that. Either it's going to be a consequences or it's going to bear fruit, whatever. You know what I'm saying, right? So if you are an adult and you make a decision, I have to look at you as another adult and I have to say, hey, I have empathy for you putting yourself in that situation, and you got fragments in your foot from a gunshot wound based off of what? An alleged, I'm not going to say alleged because it was basically brought out that a triangle. How much do we ignore? What are we ignoring? Like you hit it on the head. There's no other way. In my mind, I can't have empathy for a situation when I know something is strange. Yo, the first thing you talking about is immunity. Everybody think, why would I even have a thought that your best friend even shot you? I shouldn't even. Why am I even thinking that? Because it's been spun so many times. You lying. I'm looking at a man, and I have great empathy for a father A father who raising his son and doing what he's supposed to do, his life about to get taken away, 22 years of his life. That's on the line. And I'm supposed to have empathy for fragments in your foot. Let's all laugh. Like, yo, what are you talking about? Yo, it's a life versus fragments. I'm pretty sure where I grew up from, yo, when you shot, you shot. You know that. And what common sense to me, I always think about the common sense, and I understand. I got a son of my own, and I had to tell him one day was, yo, what's common sense to you may not be common sense to the next man, but man, we always revert back to it some kind of way. Common sense would tell me I'm a multimillionaire celebrity. I try to have a good time. I'm trying to fuck on Kylie. I'm trying to do some things with myself, have a good time. I feel that this is the moment because someone insulted my rap career. I'm going to pull out a gun and bust several shots from an insult versus the person who got into a physical altercation with you. I mean, we've all been in physical altercations. Ain't no rules. We
It
heat
ain't.
it. Yo, you got a garbage can? I'm hitting you with it. WWE. Let's go.
Mhm.
What we
WWF,
talking about?
before
Right, what we
WWE.
talking about? What we talking about? So, I mean, that's physical at that point. We all know how dangerous that is. That's why we always preach, keep your hands to yourself. And us, I believe as men, we understand that. But man,
Yeah.
look what you get. You feel something. You're jealous. I mean, all the speculations, I really don't too much even care. It's just the thing about it. I just know confrontation. And confrontation breeds something else. It ain't got no rules. It can go anywhere. That's all I would say about it, man. I can't play that advocate role where I would be like, hey, she got fragments on her foot and a man about to lose his son. Another black son finna grow out without a father. For what? Because somebody want to
I
lie?
wish I knew what his
Because
temperament was. I wish I knew what his temperament
Yeah.
was because I
yeah.
don't know if he's irrational. I don't know because I agree with
Yeah.
you, majority of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
once guns get pulled out, and then now we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with
That's
Heath a
a
thousand
that's a
percent.
whole that's a whole nother game. You're
Yeah,
on level 3 now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Level 3.
I agree with
Yeah.
Heath.
Like
I just want to know how we go from fucking on Kylie to level 3.
any
That's the man. The
listen,
man that want to
I'm
fuck
just
on
saying.
Kylie goes to level 3. It's just
Yeah,
weird to
nah,
me.
Rome,
Why would
all
he
I'm
get
saying,
there?
Rome,
that's
Yeah.
no
any
wrong.
fighting game you start off with, they teach you how to dash and duck
Nope,
first.
you're wrong, wrong, you're
That's
wrong.
level 1.
Hey,
Dash, duck,
so
jump.
here's what
Then
I
level
agree. I
2,
agree.
they teach you how to
I'm
throw
a,
a
I'm a mute
haymaker.
Rome. He's going to the goulash.
They they teach you
So
how to throw punches and
now
kicks.
that he's in the goulash,
Level 3 is when they pull out the weapons.
Yeah.
nope, he's in the
I'm with E on
goulash.
this one, man.
He's in the goulash. He's on timeout. We're not gonna go.
A
So I
weapon
want to
was
read.
out, so
Yeah.
Yeah. One-on-one goulash. I thought the goulash was one-on-one. Val, I didn't even know.
Yeah, I got somebody down there waiting for you because we can't have the guns brought.
I hope I come out alive. A fresh respawn.
So Inanna said, yes, this whole thing was a mess. I wonder why Tory didn't speak up for himself. There were clearly details left out. So
Hmm.
she brings up a factual point. I'm
yeah.
super curious why.
I thought he had the gag order.
I
I thought he had that
yeah,
gag order where he couldn't
I
speak.
think he had a gag order where he couldn't speak, and
Yeah.
I also think it was so, some of it has some. When I did see the clips, some of it was kind of like I got this, like you know what I mean. Like I don't think Tory thought the verdict would be the verdict that he got.
Nope.
You know what I
No.
mean?
No
So it's
way.
always that situation where you're looking in retrospect and you're thinking like, damn, if I would have knew it was gonna go that way, I would have said X, Y, Z or
Hmm.
whatever. I think it's one of
Mm-hmm.
those situations where he didn't like completely throw all his cards out to kind of vindicate himself from any alleged, attempts on the shot, etc. You know what I mean? But you
Hmm.
mentioned earlier too, Valdez, the system, man. I love the system. You said you hate the system. I think Rome said he hates the system too. I love the system. I love the system more than I love the lottery. It's so.
That's good. You son of a bitch. Yeah, that's good. That was nice. I was gonna come find you. There you mean I love the system. Well.
It's so much more consistent.
Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
It's
Go.
so much more consistent with the framing in the courts and the sentencing of African Americans, not only just black men, but women as well. That you probably know what you're going to get if you get in front of that jury, like he said, if it's not diverse, or what did it look like where it wasn't split. Like, so, nah, man, hey, go fuck with the system. If you get
You
to the
motherfucker.
system,
Oh, man.
if you get to the system, you probably know what you're going to get, is all I'm saying. You know what I
agree.
mean? So
I agree.
I think you also mentioned too, why don't men leave? Like, and that's something I had to learn through experience. Like, and I think a lot of us are figuring that out, man. That struggle love, man, that ain't it, man. If you ain't got past that struggle love in your early 20s,
Yeah,
like if you still dealing with struggle love from 25 to like your
stop
30s,
calling it struggle
35,
love.
Yeah, no, I
like
agree with that.
you in trouble. You're in a different type of trouble if you're still dealing with struggle love and you're managing your portfolio from your 401k. Like that that ain't mathing.
Hey, I hate
You need to relax.
so I'm gonna
My audience get control over him because that doesn't make any sense. I don't want struggle
I'm
love.
shutting it down right now again. You made some great points. Real quick.
Yeah.
Him punching August Alsina said something about his temper. His yeah.
That's a great point. A really great point.
Well, what? But wait. I will have to say this, right?
Before you start, one thing I do hate to say is that definitely didn't help the case, especially since the jury met Friday and then made a verdict. That didn't help at all. Now, of course, that's probably completely not related to anything, but unfortunately,
he punched him while he was in court.
No, I think he was probably. I don't know the full story. And Alan, if you got some more information on when he punched him and then how he received
what
that
August
punch,
say? Because
if
August
he enjoyed that punch, any information about that punch?
So August don't deserve to be punched. I just asking questions. I mean, are we really doing this? We defending August Alsina being punched in the face.
I'm not defending
Come on,
him.
man.
I think he deserved to be punched, especially after.
I mean, he needs to be ragdolled. I mean, my mind, but in my mind, like I thought that was an altercation between another man, ain't it? I mean, we can't look at that as that. It's an altercation between another man. I mean, we gonna judge another man's altercation versus him having an altercation with some other with ladies? We already know ladies violate the rules of which you would engage with another man quite often. We can react with another man. We can enact what we need to do, but we have restraints with young ladies. So I don't quite understand why we talking about August Alsina.
Yeah,
that should be the thing.
I need to look into that because I don't know why he punched him, but with his past history, I think it's probably a deserved punch from any guy, especially with the dirt he's been getting in previous relationships. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna go back to
I hear what you're saying wrong with that. Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Coin said that, and I hate to say it, but he said he trusts the system more because, and this sounds tough. It sounds so rough to say, but if you present facts, and that's only if they decide to follow and facts, right? Then it'll go your way, right? And Ellen said, "Have you ever seen Harlem Nights? The alley fight? She's beating up Eddie Murphy, ends up pinky toe."
That's all I thought. Was Miss Parker
one of the greatest movies ever.
Like, that's why I couldn't take the case serious because I'm like, this is a Harlem Night joke. Like, I don't know. This is.
Oh, you want to punch people in the stomach, huh?
Yeah. She gave it to him.
You're right.
Valdezi, I do want to clarify. I don't love the system in regards. Like, I'm not a believer in the system. I'm a believer in that it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's unjust and it's wrong and it's flawed and it's been flawed, right? It's been flawed, and we're still using some of the the same laden term and terminology and loss that we were using from eras ago, decades, centuries, right? So when you think about that, like, you know what I mean? I no, I can never agree with it. So it's designed in that way, absolutely. I mean, remember, we used to cut somebody's hand off if they stole an apple, right? That was a law for a long
Don't listen
time,
to Rome.
right? That was a law for a long time. So I'm just saying that it's designed that way and it's flawed, and I trust that it's going to continue to be flawed more than winning the lottery, of course. Like that's not.
And Allen came back with shoot Meg, punch August, got it.
Oh, can I respond to that? That's a beautiful segment. So my thing is, here's the crazy part, right? If I bust a gun 6 times and an expert that does analysis on the weapon that literally doesn't find any DNA on a weapon, I bust a gun in the air 6 times.
Can you not say bust?
Oh yeah, I don't want to say that either because it does sound quite horrible. Fire a weapon or discharge a weapon 6 times, man. For a logical human being to believe that, it doesn't make any sense. Yo, you if I touch something, you're gonna find it 6 times, but you're gonna find residue. But who, again, if you really look at the situation as a whole, look, you insult me in my rap career, physical altercation. Like it's almost like talking. Why would you think I'm so I don't even
find gunshot residue? They find gunshot residue.
They found residue on his hand, but not on the weapon. They don't find DNA on the weapon.
Was that it was residue, and then correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but it was residue found on 2 people. I don't know if it was a third person. Tory Lanez was one. I think it's probably on his clothing, and then another person probably was Kelsey, who did immunity. Which means you get away with everything, right? So, but usually when you shoot guns, and I got my
that's
license,
called a magic trick.
I have my license to carry, and then I fire my weapon. One thing I can tell you when I go to the shooting range and practice and stuff like that,
your opening statement
DNA
is
on that gun. My DNA is on that gun. So typically, if you are firing it, your DNA usually, in most cases, is on that gun, right? And they found 4 traces of DNA on the weapon. His wasn't one of them. So that was a little bit weird, right? But also remember, we got to think about what he got charged with. 3 counts didn't necessarily say like did he shoot the gun, but more so was Megan in fear of danger around him, right? And so when you look at it that way, regardless if we think the question was fair or not, that was.
Are we talking about feelings? You said if Megan felt she was in fear. I don't know. So my question to you, Eva, I would ask you, Val. That's a good thing that you bring up. So with a situation such as that, if Megan feels that she's in danger, and there's 3 people involved, and the first one, the best part for me is I would even ask you, Valdez. This is gonna sound crazy, but do you love magic in any way? Because the witness or the person, Kelsey here, the best friend, performed magic right before our eyes with the opening statement. She said, Kazam, watch this, Kazam, immunity. And honestly, that's why he touched on it. And it's just it's the starting line. I don't even care about the trial. How did we get past that foolishness? Hey, y'all, I just need to make sure I got immunity out here and I'm a witness. Somebody was shot. Yeah. Somebody was physically shot. So and we just gonna say, all right, cool, let's move. Let's just keep moving on. Let's find out if Tory shot her after that. Yo, why are we not addressing that? And it's just gonna come you just get the word immunity and I get to pretty much cloak your file at this point. Anything you say in this courtroom, I honestly think she could come out and say that, but of course that's so damaging. Yeah, I shot Meg, but what can you do that? No, because we're gonna keep this rolling. We're gonna keep this party on because it still protects you. And image is the most important thing of all.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I hate to say it, but this case seems like it was more so done to protect future investments than evidence, right? And I'm not trying to say that it was right or which side was right or wrong, but I'm looking at it from a financial standpoint, right? Money wise, you have a person who on top who hitting record numbers, movie deals, jumping into the anime side, right? Because now I hate to say it, I'm a big anime fan, right? Love anime. The world been sleeping on anime, but now since you have basketball stars and other celebrities saying it's cool, right? And then you have Meg Thee Stallion rocking anime and then stuff like that. Let's talk about here they see the value and the money in that part, right? So I think this is bigger than the case, and that's why the verdict was what it was, based off of truth. And then to agree to a coin point, I think the system is working exactly on how it should.
Why do you say that exactly? I mean, is in terms of an expectation? I guess I'm asking from that standpoint. From an expectation, the system is working how it should, or is it just we keep
So
looking towards the system?
To elaborate on that, the justice system is flawed, and is going off of flawed principles, policies, and stuff like that, right? And we can argue that it wasn't fair, but however, if you become an expert in law, and then you look at the verdict, they follow the rules. Now, are we questioning was the rules right or wrong from a moral standpoint? My answer would be the rules were wrong. But once again, since I didn't create the rules, right? You have someone else created the rules, and then whatever questions they put in place was those followed. If the answer is yes, the answer is yes. And
can we look at this from beneficial?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so for example, is it beneficial though?
Hey, go coin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, man, and it's something I would recommend. Y'all need to do adult field trips more, like adult field trips. And I did an adult field trip, right, to the courthouse here in North Carolina, right, and we got to go talk to a judge, and the judge took us through a day in his life. And he talked about how many cases he reviewed, which are just stacks of paper, which are really individual lives, like whole complete lives. In each one of the stacks of paper, they had some similarities. However, after he got through so many, it just became routine. And the deviation of looking into this person's background became less significant. So
I would agree.
what I'm saying is if he'd robbed a store and Rome robbed a store, but he, is part of a church, a community, he's never done anything like this before, etc., blah, blah, the reason he did it, so forth, blah, blah, all that other stuff. But he been hitting stores Rome been hitting stores for like 5 years now. They get the same sentencing. They get the same sentencing from his perspective. And then it also depends on how burnt out he is. So what the judge expressed to us here in North Carolina, that he sometimes has to stop and take a break from looking at these paper and remember the human aspect of what he's doing before he makes his sentencing. Because you're absolutely changing. So that part of the court system, like you were saying, that's why it's working. It's freaking flawed, right? Because we're not machines. And again, one person shouldn't get 20 years for the same crime, across the board. But we all know that's happening. And that's kind of what I'm saying. So yeah, man, adult field trips, man, do that more.
Very interesting.
Learn
that's a very interesting point.
about what's going on.
That's a great point. I'm not gonna lie. When you said adult field trips, I wanted to ignore it completely because of
Yeah, for
the
sure.
concept of like field trips.
Yeah, pack
And then
you
my,
a lunch. Get you a
It
lunch
feels
before and
wrong.
everything.
Get
I
you a.
felt like
I
I
felt
had to
that I
get
had a
my lunch
lunchbox.
bag. I was getting my lunch bag ready, get my sandwich going, P&J.
Uh-huh.
Don't ever force me to look around my house and realize that I had to come to the conclusion that I'm a grown man and I'm looking for a Lunchable. Don't ever do that to me again. It's very offensive.
Got my gypsy juice, got
I'm looking for
Kool-Aid.
Capri Sun. Why the hell am I looking for a Capri
Uh-huh.
Sun right now? Don't do that.
You
You
thirsty.
know what? I think that is a disadvantage of going to a case like that when the judge is the one who makes the ruling, compared to
Ooh,
when you have a jury involved.
You got it.
I
yeah.
can definitely see that. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
Isn't the jury
yeah.
among your peers though, man? Like
It's
we talking reasonable doubt, right, Val?
yeah.
Reasonable doubt.
It's among your peers, but that's only if your peers show up. So let's talk about that one statement you said, right? And this is another
Mhm,
thing I kind of hate to say. A jury
mhm,
among your peers. All of us usually get summoned in jury duty, right?
Yeah.
Most of us don't
mhm.
want to do it at all,
Uh,
which means probably the worst of the worst are people who probably get off on doing that. It's up there, right? Another way that you can kind of help fix the system and stuff like that, and this would suck, but just making sure you're on those jury boards, right? When decisions are being made. But that's yes, they say the concept of a jury of your own peers, but the likelihood of it being of his own peers is false. Call it
so
spade a
that
spade.
brings me to another new point, right? Like, I mean, how many people have out actually putting into action what they really seem to be passionate about? I mean, we sit here talking about this panel, and you kind of brought up a very interesting point. Most of us don't even want to do it, but you could be the very voice that basically changed the outcome of someone's life
You got it.
That's true.
or any situation
Yeah.
because you have an opportunity to call to. It's like you saying call to action. So it really makes you kind of like look at yourself, like, yo, you talking about some shit, but let's be real. When you're called to action, you don't want to do it. It's a real reality check. I think that was a good point, Val. I appreciate that for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, but anyway, man, definitely appreciate you guys showing up, chatting it up with your boy Val DZ.
For sure.
For anybody watching in the comments, if you got any questions or want to feel free, come up and to discuss. Definitely want to hear your opinion. Drop the link for you if you do want to kind of share your thoughts, whether you are with the decision or against the decision. Feel free. Or questions, I definitely post them, and then we can just talk about it, right? Because at the end of the day, we're never gonna get the real answer we need until we do talk about this consistently and then make changes in our environment and in the political system or whatever system you feel is right or wrong.
For sure.
But
Mhm.
Thanks for
Yes,
yep.
having
sir.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And
Thanks for
yeah,
letting us come up. Appreciate you, Val
Thank you,
DZ.
man.
thank
Appreciate
you,
you.
fellas.
Appreciate your time,
Yeah.
fellas.
Be
All
easy.
right.
Later.
Merry
Cool.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. So once again, I want to appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in to talk about Tory Lanez guilty, aka the jury was right. This was tough to swallow, just because watching the case with the evidence presented and stuff like that, it seemed a little iffy. However, under the court of law, he was found guilty. So you got to go with that, right? I wasn't in there. Just once again, want to shout out all those who did show out. Shout out to N. Allen. Thank you for showing up, support your boy. Definitely check out her channel once again, N. Allen 007 RX. Super dope YouTube channel. Check out the Intentional Millionaire. Follow him. Amazing, intelligent individual. Appreciate he for joining us. A great, dope music artist, content creator. One song I believe he produced, he dropped called Princess Allen, whatever. And then probably what you're seeing at the bottom, if you are interested, American Express Delta Sky Miles. Long story short, it's a system I use on building points to fly for free whenever I'm taking trips. like one point I did a trip to Los Angeles for like $11. Stupid crazy. Anyway, if you want more details on that, drop a comment. I'll drop the link. Other than that, thanks for your support and love, man. This your boy Valdezi, and I'm out. Peace.